There's so much wrong with this video, but the worst is the description. We're unapologetic anti-feminists? What the fuck is that supposed to mean? We're supposed to apologize before we disagree with you? Your position is so assured that anyone who has the temerity to even try to counter any of your evidence or proposition has to apologize first? You are the one source of absolute morality and divine position that has arbiter knowledge such that
Yeah, boy.
Go fuck yourself, Steve.
Atheism and feminism are naturally complementary to one another. There is no human institution that has done so much in so many cultures across such a long period of time to hold women down as organized religion.
What Steve Shives is trying to say here is very important when you have an understanding of the general modes of operation of postmodernist thought. He's proposing that feminism and atheism should both be partners, hand in hand in combating religion because that would be for the greater good. Steve Shives doesn't define atheism or feminism as ideologies based on their beliefs. Atheism and feminism are only valuable insomuch as they are tools towards reaching that greater good. And that greater good, by the way, completely arbitrary and defined by him, as opposed to most atheists who believe good is defined by a scientific understanding of objective reality. This is why a lot of atheists, particularly YouTube atheists, are anti-feminists. Feminism is bullshit.
Before I get too far into this, I want to make it clear that I will be using multiple senses of the word atheism throughout this video. So before you post an angry comment presuming to inform me that atheism means not believing in gods and that's all it means, atheism can also refer to the community of atheists or the body of work produced by that community. It's totally legitimate to notice trends within that community or body of work and to propose that something be done to change those trends that I find troubling.
Holy motherfucking Freudian level projection, Batman! How can you say this and not have any kind of self-awareness about the fact that what you're proposing to do to atheism is exactly what anti-feminists are trying to do to feminism? Feminism has strayed from its original standpoint of being for women's rights to being about shutting down free speech on college campuses, taking away the presumption of innocence of men based on scientific research that is criminally shoddy at best, and an Orwellian nightmare of uncontrollable bullshit at worst.
Unfortunately, there is also a faction within atheism that is aggressively hostile toward women in general and outspoken feminists in particular. This faction is most active here on YouTube. Within it are several of the most subscribed to atheist channels. These regularly feature videos attacking feminists, spreading misinformation about feminism, and attempting to undermine efforts to address problems of importance to feminists, such as sexual assault or the wage gap.
Buster, how do you know if any of this stuff is true? What do you mean?
Maybe that's because these issues are completely fabricated nonsense, and maybe the reason these people are anti-feminist is because they have a basic understanding of science, math, and reality.
How do you know someone didn't just make it up?
Maybe instead of creating a straw man argument, begging the question, and asserting your ethical right to be correct on matters of objective fact, you should argue their points, or at the very least provide a fucking citation so someone else can make that argument for you.
You really think someone would do that? Just go on the internet and tell lies?
Beyond that, their supporters eagerly join the effort, inundating comment sections with insults, pedantic demands for evidence of even mundane and uncontroversial claims.
Mundane and uncontroversial, like the wage gap and the current rape hysteria statistics? These aren't mundane and uncontroversial. They're demonstrably incorrect.
Just go on the internet and tell lies?
Just go on the internet and tell lies?
They're demonstrably incorrect. But of course you're going to say that they're mundane and uncontroversial. They fit the ideological narrative that you're trying to push into atheism in order to make it a tool for fighting towards the objectively baseless and arbitrary greater good that you've imposed upon reality.
Occasionally, especially if the target is a woman, they'll even resort to doxing or threats of physical violence. The high-profile anti-feminist YouTubers don't directly instigate these actions of their followers, but they don't seem all that concerned with them either, despite these sorts of things being done in their names by self-professed fans of theirs all the time.
They don't have control over what other people do on the internet. That's not how the internet works. What are they supposed to do? Apologize for disagreeing with you?
But the hostility toward feminism, the petulant complaining in response to attempts to address sexism, and the outright withering abuse that greets women in this community all add up to send an unmistakable message.
The message that you should have to prove that sexism exists before trying to impose your subjective authoritarian feminist ideology on an ideological movement like atheism?
You and your point of view are not welcome here.
Well, that's another way of saying it. I mean, you're not trying to set up a Kafka trap wherein us arguing that we are in fact not a sexist community is yet more evidence that atheism is sexist, are you? You totally are. Come on, Steve, you're not even trying to make a coherent argument anymore.
Humanism and feminism don't stand in opposition to each other, and anyone who thinks they do has misunderstood at least one, and probably both, of those things. It's totally legitimate to notice trends within that community or body of work. Atheism means not believing in gods, and that's all it means. And anyone who thinks they do has misunderstood at least one, and probably both.
Can you at least make it slightly difficult for me to call you a hypocrite, Steve? Just make it a challenge?
We need to make sure that the stereotype of an atheist as an angry, condescending male chauvinist is just that. A straw man that doesn't represent the general character of our community.
If you believe this is a straw man, then why are you using it as an argument?
That the anti-feminists, the sexists, the misogynists do not speak for us.
Fucking hell, Steve, just make it difficult. Make it a fucking challenge to call you a hypocrite. At least have the self-awareness to realize that you should try and obfuscate your blatant hypocrisy. What the fuck is wrong with you? Is this really the best argument you could come up with? This is your best argument? Blatant hypocrisy, straw-manning, and appeals to emotion? I mean, seriously. Fuck.
But if the amount of anti-feminist rhetoric, not to mention the exuberant applause that often greets that rhetoric, is keeping atheist women from having a stronger voice in our community, and it is...
Let's see Paul Allen's card.
And if that rhetoric consists not merely of honest, informed disagreement, but straw-manning and demonizing of feminism of the sort that we would never tolerate were it directed at atheism...
Why the fuck are you tolerating straw-man arguments in your own goddamn video? Holy shit, you fucking hypocrite!
And it does. Shouldn't we be standing against it?
Yes, you should be. Now delete this video and issue an apology.
I've also lost count of how many times I've received indignant comments declaring that, though I call myself an atheist, feminism is my true religion. A religion, as any self-professing atheist worth a damn ought to know, is typically defined as a belief system based on divine revelations and dogmatic principles handed down from unquestionable authorities. Anyone who believes that something like a divine revelation is necessary to recognize the ongoing oppression of women, or that feminists are mindless followers of authority.
Nobody thinks you need divine revelation to prove that women are oppressed in the modern world, Steve. What they need is a fucking citation. What you need to do is pull your
head out of his ass.
And when someone asks you to provide a citation for your feminist bullshit, don't treat feminist ideology as if it's unquestionable divine knowledge by saying that its claims are just
mundane and uncontroversial. I've even suggested that the atheist movement would be better off if it adopted an approach more like that of intersectional feminism.
No! God, please, no! 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 No!
What good is an atheist movement that primarily concerns itself with the most privileged members of the atheist community?
Remember at the beginning of this video when I said that Steve doesn't value atheism or feminism outside of being tools for his greater good? Well, here's some more evidence of it.
What good is an atheist movement?
The atheist movement is only valuable so long as it can be used by him to further his goals in achieving what he defines as the greater good. Atheism isn't valuable because it's true, and spreading atheism isn't valuable because the truth behind atheism isn't valuable in and of itself. To him, it doesn't matter if atheism is true. What matters is, can the atheist movement be used as a tool for my ideological purposes? Can truth be used as a tool for my ideological purposes? By the way, Steve, this answers your question of,
why are misogyny and anti-feminism regarded as things we just have to accept as an unavoidable part of an ideologically diverse community, but feminism is regarded as unwarranted and intrusive?
Because feminism isn't based in truth, and your disgustingly deceptive sophistry is trying to hijack a movement that is based in the belief of objective truth and turn it into a tool to be used for your ideological purposes.
An intersectional atheist would necessarily be someone who wants the movement to be even broader and more inclusive than it already is, valuing the contributions of a wide variety of people with a wide variety of ideas.
Except for anti-feminists, right, Steve? I believe there's a correct response for this, but thankfully, in your hilarious lack of self-awareness, you've already said it for me.
It's embarrassing, it's indefensible, it harms us as individuals and as a community, and it is long past time that we put a stop to it. Now shut the fuck up, SJW, is, I believe, how the rest of that goes.